Greetings and a very good day to you. We, students from Diploma in Planting Industry Management, UITM Kota Kinabalu, Sabah. In this video, we will discussing about the current issue related to human resource management in Malaysia or and outside of Malaysia. So these are the list of our group members. Introduction. We have selected the recent concern relating to the sexual harassment in workplace as our topic. Sexual harassment at work has a lethal impact on persons of all genders, whereas the ratio of women who fall victim are more affected. People who are targeted may suffer from a variety of negative outcomes, such as physical and mental health concern, job difficulties, distress, and discomfort. Sexual harassment in the workplace has occurred for decades. It had once been deemed as a workplace hazard before being identified as an issue that needed to be handled. Sexual harassment in the workplace is discrimination that involves gender or sexual orientation statements, conduct, or behavior. It makes no difference who commits the infraction. It might be a boss, a co-worker, or a non-employee, such as a customer, client, or vendor. It is also considered unlawful harassment if the person's behavior creates a hostile work environment, makes it difficult for an employee to work, or interferes with an employee's achievement. Making inappropriate sexual gestures, making sexual comments about appearance, clothing, or body parts, inappropriate touching, asking sexual questions, and making offensive comments are some examples of workplace sexual harassment. As a conclusion, sexual harassment in a workplace is not a new social problem, and it should be taken seriously by the supervisor or employer. Cases of sexual harassment have had a negative impact both on individuals, society, and also on the organization itself. If this behavior is allowed on a large scale, it can have a serious effect on production and increase the organization's cost burden. That's all from us. Thank you.
Sexual harassment in the workplace. The factors of sexual harassment in the workplace is the motivation. The motivation division investigates the variables that originate with the victims and may serve as a motivator for the harasser. For example, victim physical attractiveness may be a motivating factors for the harassment. As a result, some male employees may be tempted to form a social or sexual relationship with their female co-workers or to provide unwanted sex attention. The effect and impact from the factors is the individual impact. The individual who is sexually harassed at the work suffer the most. Anger, shame, guilt, and dread of some of the emotional repercussions. Sexual harassment can also lower victim self-esteem and cause panic attacks. If someone is sexually harassed at the works, the emotional impacts are far from the only ones. Because a physical health is inextricably linked to the mental health, sexual harassment can produce physical repercussions. These symptoms include loss of appetite, nausea, weight loss or increase, headache, migraines, and sleep loss. Victims may also develop excessive blood pressure and begin to abuse alcohol or another narcotics.
Today I will present about the explanation of existing solution on sexual harassment in workplace. First thing first, I will talk about the Harassment Act 1997, which was enacted in June 1997 to address the problem of stalking as well as a variety of actions that may be classified more generally as a harassment of some type or another. During 1998, the police forwarded 167 protection from harassment cases, where each case and its passage through the criminal justice system were documented using Crown Prosecution Service (CPS) files as the primary data source, and several people were interviewed. According to the study, the protection from harassment acts were utilized to deal with a variety of behaviors. Although victims tended to file a complaint to the police, many were uninformed of the act and the remedies available to them, which they had to put up with such unpleasant conduct for a long time. Next, for the Australian Human Rights Commission 2008, it is a study about all reasonable steps that effectively preventing to sexual harassment, which is a code of practice for the employers. Even though the employer takes special precautions to the employees, it is impossible to ensure that they will not cause any problem. The law itself gives employers some direction on how to satisfy their duties, which are two basic activities that employers should do. First, employers should take all reasonable steps to prevent sexual harassment from occurring. And then, if it is occurred, employers should take all reasonable steps to correct it. Employers should manage to make it plain to all employees that sexual harassment is not tolerated by creating a clear policy on sexual harassment, disseminating it to all employees, and ensuring they will understand it. Employers are advised to follow the precautions that have been written, which is include: first, obtain high-level support from the CEO for the implementation of comprehensive sexual harassment plan. Second, develop a written policy against sexual harassment, distribute and ensure it is easily accessible, provide the policy as part of new employee induction, and any other ways to encourage employees to follow it. Third, provide frequent sexual harassment training and information to all employees and management. Fourth, encourage managers to act professionally. And fifth, create a positive workplace environment, such as removing any pornographic related sources, create such policy that restricting the freedom using the internet for improper purpose, and regular audits of the frequency of sexual harassment in the workplace also recommended. On the other hand, every company, regardless of size, must take all reasonable measures to prevent sexual harassment in the workplace, which also involve them to actively develop preventative measures to reduce the rate of sexual harassment in the workplace.
For the recommendations of sexual harassment in workplace, I have suggested two recommendations. First of all is adopt a sexual harassment policies. This means the company must create a rule book for the employees that eliminates any ambiguity. Second, the rule book must include clear and straightforward procedure for filing a sexual harassment complaint with the assurance that all claims will be true. Inappropriate jokes, gesture, rude clothing words, unwelcome comments, and wordplay. Inappropriate body contact, like scratching or pressing a co-worker's back, grabbing around the waist or other parts of the body.
For the advantage, by having a written policies in workplace that provide sexual harassment, outside behavior that might be considered harassment, and can give employers or employees with option to report harassment. While for the disadvantage, many people are afraid that dissatisfied employees would use sexual harassment as a weapon that their nice behavior may be misunderstood. Second recommendation, train your organization, which means a rule book is essential in ensuring that employees have a practical resources to examine and refer to if they are objected to or witness to sexual harassment. The company also needs to arrange a training program for employees at least twice a year to review your rule book and keep it fresh in their minds. Not only the employees, but also the supervisor, they need to be trained on how to deal with sexual harassment complaints.
The advantage for the second recommendation is nurturing a culture of inclusion and respect in the workplace, which means providing and training caregivers and staff on how to cope with these complex issues, can foster respect between employees and employers, and feel respected and valued at work are more likely to perform better. While on the most significant disadvantage for these recommendations is because of the lack on interest. Most of the employees now are not interested in attending a training sessions that take a long time to finish, and most of the workers are older and no longer able to be sit for too long. And also their hearing is also weakened.
The best recommendation for preventing sexual harassment in the workplace is to adopt a sexual harassment policy. If a company doesn't have a sexual harassment policy, they may have to spend a lot of money defending themselves in court, and it only wastes time and money. Organization-based training promotes organizational culture and empowers individuals by communicating the organization's principles, goals, and values to its diverse members. Among other things, it encourages and empowers viewers to report crimes. When effective policies are implemented, previously unreported cases of discrimination and harassment are uncovered. Bystanders are also trained on workplace expectations and approvals. Thereafter, the risk of non-compliance reduces. Organizations can face costly legal, financial, and career risks when employees are misled and unaware of sexual harassment issues. Employees can be protected from the detrimental effects of these elements through training provided under the sexual harassment policy.